He puts on a
Pretty good
show.
defense right there.
Carries it over Dre, Clay, and once again, he talks his talk, and now he is on the way. If those highlights don't get you excited, I don't know what will. To the Cleveland Cavaliers, you spoke with the Cavaliers. You were with them yesterday. What is the feeling around the locker room adding James Harden?
Well, I'm going to add another couple guys, Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis. They're like the Jeffersons. They felt like they were moving on up. They went from being in Sacramento a couple days ago to being in this locker room. Cleveland got to be happy, Perk. I mean, how do you guard these two guys? How, coaches? How do you stop this? Like, Donovan's like, I could just stand in the corner, he told me, and just get easy shots. And then these pick and roll and the alley-oops. And how do you guard these guys?
Dave, you covered Cleveland for a long time during their championship run in 2016 with LeBron James, and many around Cleveland feel that Donovan Mitchell has brought them the most successful years outside of LeBron. What have you heard from your sources on how this trade is reverberating?
Well, I mean, the thing is, Darius Garland was really beloved within that organization. They took him in the draft. He became a two-time All-Star. However, his availability has not been something they could rely on as of late. He missed 4 games in the playoffs last year. He basically missed half of the regular season games this year with toe injuries. James Harden's had his woes in the playoffs, but one thing he has been is available. And certainly just having him there in the lineup, that level of talent, gives them a chance versus potentially missing a major piece like Garland.
Donovan Mitchell is on the clock. Like, minimum, you better get your behind to the conference finals. Dave, I said this yesterday on Countdown. The Cavs has done more for us making moves for Donovan Mitchell than they did for LeBron. When you think about firing Coach Bickerstaff, when you think about the moves that they made last year, getting DeAndre Hunter, now the moves that they're making this year, it's all surrounded by Donovan Mitchell, and to put him in position to actually go out there and compete. When you get a guy that's one of the greatest scorers ever in James Harden, he's one of the greatest scorers ever, still has become one of the best facilitators over the last 3 years, and there's really probably going to be a third option guy, the Mitchell and Mobley. Man, y'all behind better go out there and put in some work. You know what I mean? And so when you think about them dogs that they got from Sacramento, see, Dennis Schroeder is the most important piece. Because you know why? We asked for Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and I don't know if Jared Allen will ever get it because they played some type of musical or something at his wedding. I just don't know if he really got that real dog in him.
Okay.
I know, but what I'm saying is when you watching a dog pick up 94 feet, because we all agree that Dennis Schroeder is the instigator, not a retaliator.
He loves
then that brings that energy and tenacity to the big fellas that they've been lacking.
I'll say this for James Harden, though. We've done a lot of shows here on Trade Deadline that involve James Harden getting moved at the deadline, and most of the time they're messy, right? This was not a messy exit from L.A. The Clippers had a highlight, they had a tribute video planned for him last night if he would have shown up in that building. Like, he showed up on Tuesday at the training facility, and everybody knew this trade was going down. It was just hours away from being completed. And he went through, he's wearing Clipper gear, he got treatment. Ty Lue walked over to him, and he was like, in other words, what are you doing here? But he just said to him, he goes, man, you weird. And like James laughed because he said that's James's favorite word, weird. And I talked to him later that night, and he was kind of sad to be leaving Los Angeles. This is his hometown. He really wanted it to work out here. He's excited to go to Cleveland, obviously, but this isn't a messy exit for James Harden. I think he's really excited to have a chance to win that ring and also to have a chance to have some long-term stability in his future because clearly the Clippers are trying to get younger.
And he said that that's the most important thing to him in his statement. He said that he really wants to win a championship. When he spoke to you, he said that is what he is focused on here. Let's stick in Los Angeles and go to the Lakers because they made a move. They traded for sharpshooter Luke Kennard, three-point shooting, something that they desperately needed. They're basically bottom 10 in every category that you can think of. And Luke Kennard has been an excellent three-point shooter. Dave, what more can you tell us about the move that the Lakers made?
Well, the Lakers had limited assets. They were willing to part with this trade deadline if they wanted to keep that first-round pick and maybe have 3 potentially that they could trade this summer, plus a ton of cap space. And so with the margins they were working with, they were able to get a guy who's shooting 50% from 3. The Lakers are 22nd in three-point percentage, 23rd in three-point makes per game. Kennard helps that. And now they look to potentially look at the 3 two-way players they have currently on their roster. They could make a move there and then kind of have a competition for their open roster spot between Drew Timme and whoever the other two-way player is that they acquire to decide who could maybe get the full-fledged spot. They could also waive a player. Maxi Kleber, they could waive to open up another roster spot, and then they can look at the buyout market. We've already seen Cam Thomas is an attractive name that's out there. I'm not saying he's going to be a Laker, but they want to see what players end up on that market.
When I talked to Cam Thomas, he said, I'm super excited. He feels like there's a lot that he could give to a team. You know, he's a walking bucket.
Oh, yes, he is.
Bet on himself, and now he's a free agent as he wanted to be. And whoever picks him up, they're going to get a score.
Dave, I got a question. Do the Lakers, how are they feeling? Like, do you get the sense that they feel like they have a legit shot at really going to the promised land this year?
They know that their top three players in Austin, LeBron, and Luka are a special trio, and they also recognize they only played 9 games together thus far this season. So they want to see what they can do. If they continue to grow, they continue to play for one another, and they give the requisite defensive effort and attention to the game plan, they think they can play with anybody. Now, they do recognize, though, that there is a talent gap, I think, for the rest of their roster compared to some of the deep teams like an OKC, like even some of the moves that Minnesota made at the trade deadline.
And we know that rotations shrink when you get to the postseason, but you have to get there in prime position, especially in a crowded Western Conference. But the Lakers are doing what they can with limited assets here. Perk, we hear you got SportsCenter. Get rolling. Caitlin Clark has weighed in.
We try to tell you, Perk.
Saying the Pacers.
Try to tell you, Perk.
2027 world champions. She's liking the moves that Indiana made there today with Ivica Zubac headed to the Pacers from the Clippers here. The Clippers have officially changed course, though, on their NBA voyage. Do we dare say the word? It appears they are headed towards a rebuild. Yes, it does. From the end of last season, the Clippers have moved on from 3 of their 4 leading scorers, James Harden, Ivica Zubac, Norm Powell in the offseason. So now that leaves one. It leaves Kawhi Leonard and a whole lot of questions about what their future looks like. The Clippers were very, very active, solidly looking like a lottery team. But how surprising is it, Ramona, that they didn't move on from Kawhi?
I'm not surprised. Kawhi has 1 year left on his deal. Kawhi in a contract year is pretty good. Usually, he won a championship the last time that happened. I think they've been signaling this for a while by moving Norm Powell rather than giving him an extension, by not giving James Harden that the guaranteed money in his second year. There was a unguaranteed contract, which is kind of why they got to this point. That's a signal, like, we're drawing the line in the sand. We only have a certain window here. That window is closing. And there's a recognition there that they don't have a lot of draft capital to start a rebuild with. And so now they have some. It's hard to move on from Zubac. You know, he's the longest tenured Clipper there. He's a very popular guy there. But they got 2 first-round picks, pretty good first-round picks for him, and a young player in Ben Mathurin, who's a former lottery pick. I also think, you know, when you look at the Clippers, they have to have a future. So if you're going to do a rebuild, remember, Bobby, I hate to bring this up. I'm sorry to do this to you, but
bring it on.
When the Brooklyn Nets tried to do that rebuild, I remember seeing Sean Marks one day, and they were in the middle of that, and I was like, how you doing? And he's like, well, we don't have our picks for the next few years.
Right.
It's kind of hard to start a rebuild when you don't even have any picks to do. They don't even get to keep their pick. It goes to Oklahoma City. So now they have something to work with.
Do we have an expectation that Kawhi is going to be on this team beyond the next couple of months?
Let's see how he feels about it. I mean, I was there last night, and I think he said something interesting. Somebody asked him a question. I forget who it was that asked and said, you know, how was your communication with the front office on these moves? And, you know, he said, well, I kind of found out when you found out. It was in the middle of the game. Usually they tell me, but it was kind of happened fast. You know, I don't know how involved he is in all this. He understands what's going on, but they didn't just. They're not just tanking. They got Darius, Garland, and Ben Mathurin. But it's difficult for them now because you're starting to rebuild and you got rid of 2 very popular players.
Shout out to Will Dawkins. I think what the Washington Wizards have done has been outstanding. I was in Washington when Trey got picked up. Then you get Anthony Davis, but neither one of them, I'm not expecting them to play. Alex Sarr's been amazing. The rest of the young guys are talented, and then they get their first-round pick. I really like that the Wizards are finally somebody we're talking about again.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're looking at, again, teams that maybe are looking a little bit more like they're going for the lottery, the Clippers, the Washington Wizards. For Washington, Marc, you're so right. There is a whole lot to like. All right.